AITAH for breaking up with my fiancé because of his mother. I am not the OOP. OOP is you, Onway 8855. AITAH for breaking up with my fiancé because of his mother. Originally posted to r AITAH. Trigger warning. Verbal abuse and emotional abuse. Less than. Original post March 8, 2023. Please bear with me, this is going to be a long one. My fiancé, 26M, and I, 24F, have been dating for 4 years and engaged for 5 months. For some context about my fiancé, he is an outstanding partner. He is so kind and gentle, always ensures I feel secure in our relationship and treats me like a complete queen. I have had an extremely traumatic childhood, especially from my high school years and from past relationships, which he knows all about and has supported me constantly and always done things to prove to me during difficult times that I am safe and that he is always there for me. With all of that aside, the only thing that bothers me a little about my fiancé is that his mother and him have a bit of what I call an extreme relationship. What I mean by this is they very extremely close, as it has been only the two of them since he was 8 years old. I have always been so nice to her and have done a lot during our whole relationship to spend time with her, help her with anything she needs, and try to become close with her. But unfortunately, no matter what I do, she always expresses she hates me and doesn't believe I will ever be good enough for her son. My fiancé on many occasions has stood up for me, but he isn't very stern or isn't really completely on my side. He just tells his mother to stop it or to not fight today, which makes me feel like he is dismissing it. This has been going on our entire relationship. But one of those times, my fiancé really snapped on her and finally stood up for me, which had gotten her to stop, as he threatened she would lose him if she didn't make things right. Before this happened, I had learned to put up with it because I love my fiancé and truly believe he is the one for me. But ever since he proposed to me 5 months ago, his mother has gotten aggressively worse. She texts me horrible messages, leaves me voicemails, gets her friends to also harass me, and anytime she sees me in person she is terrible, only when my fiancé is not around. She has resulted to being nasty no longer in front of my fiancé because of what he said the time he had stood up to her. 3 days ago, I called off the engagement and broke things off with my fiancé without telling him what his mother had been doing. I was scared to tell him because I know he loves her and I didn't want to come between them again. Especially when he has been so happy that we are finally getting along, because his mother fakes being friendly and loving in front of him. He understandably was devastated, and so am I. His best friend and other close friends, along with his sister and my family as well as friends, have been calling me non-stop for the past 3 days. Calling me an a-hole for leaving my fiancé and breaking his heart for no reason. My fiancé has also been calling and texting begging for me to talk. His mother sent me one text. To sum it up, it had said, "I am glad you are gone. If I had known treating you like this would have made you leave my son sooner than I would have been this nasty from the start. My son will realize you are just a slut and move on easily." I ended up telling my older brother why I ended things, as well as my fiancé's best friend, as him and I are fairly close too. They both understand where I am coming from, but told me I need to tell my fiancé because he will handle his mother and has been a wreck without me, as I have been without him too. They also said that I need to stand up to his mother myself. So here's where I feel guilty and think I may be the a-hole. I finally called my fiancé and asked him to meet up. On my way to go meet him, I texted his mother a long paragraph calling her a vile, disgusting woman and going off on her about all the stuff she has done. When I reached my fiancé, he looked incredibly angry. Apparently, His mom immediately called him crying, saying that I texted her saying I was going to beat her up, and called her horrible names for simply calling me to make sure I was okay, which obviously wasn't the case. Once I had told my fiancé what really happened, as well as showed him all the proof of what I said and what she had been doing for 5 months, he broke down crying, and so did I. We both consoled each other, and he profusely apologized for his mother's behavior. He blew up on his mother and immediately went no contact with her. He also uninvited her from our wedding. My family, my friends, his friends and his aunt, his mother's sister, all were happy we are back together and proud of my fiancé for standing up to his mom and cutting her out of his life. But all his other family and his mother's friends have been berating me, calling me the a-hole for destroying the relationship between him and his mother. I can also see that my fiancé is absolutely crushed by this. So I'm regretting leaving and wish that I had just continued to put up with it like I had before. That way none of this would have happened. So, AITAH? Update April 14th, 2023. Update. Hello everyone. I am sorry for this long-awaited update. I wanted to make sure before I updated that my fiancé and I had really worked through everything and made sure everything was fixed, understood and cared for on both our parts. To start off, I would like to thank everyone for your comments, whether they were good or bad. All of them really helped open my eyes to things I wasn't understanding myself during this time. Now on to the update. My fiancé and I had extremely long and multiple discussions during this duration of time, explaining our thoughts and feelings. To start off, I had explained to him that I totally saw how wrong it was after the fact to jump the gun and end things when I very well could have told him and talked to him about what was going on. I told him that I was just afraid that this was going to be a never-ending cycle with his mother, and I wasn't sure if I wanted to deal with that for the rest of my life, as I would surely be miserable. But again, I apologized to him profusely for not coming to him and showing him what his mother had been up to behind his back, and then hurting him by blindsiding him and breaking things off. I also did explain to him, though, that I believe a part of me didn't want to tell him because previously, although he had stuck up for me, the build-up before that was him brushing a lot of the stuff his mother would do off, and it hurt me deeply. I explained to him that the future I saw with him, his mother and I was going to be full of anger, hate and just negativity. I asked him if she could do these things to me before we were even married, then what would happen when we are, or even when we had children in the future. I didn't want that for me, for him, or for any kids we were to have. My fiancé explained to me that he realized that he wasn't fully standing up for me or setting stern boundaries with his mother before, and he can't imagine how that must have made me feel. He said that he deeply regrets not being the man he wanted to be for me, especially when we were setting up a future together. He told me that it was completely unfair of me to go about things the way I did, and that it hurt him so much that I just left him and didn't let him know so he could help deal with the issues. But he said he did now understand why I felt like I couldn't, or felt like I didn't want to, as he was being blinded by the love he had for his mother. We both have started individual and couples therapy to work through any unresolved issues and issues related to this situation. His individual therapy has had a lot to do with his mother and talking about his mother, whereas my individual therapy has been about trust issues and communication issues. We are trying extremely hard to work on this, as we both love each other dearly and couldn't imagine our lives without each other. As for his mother, my fiancé and I have blocked her and anyone who had sided with her immediately. We have surrounded ourselves with the ones who support us, loves us and see the wrong in what she was doing. She had reached out to both me and my fiancé to apologize and had asked to talk. We met up with her at a local cafe to chat, to just see if we could salvage anything or see if she was even sorry. To say this was a mistake would be an understatement. But I think it really opened my fiancé's eyes to how just mean and cruel that woman can be. I had also showed him the messages, voicemails and her friends' texts, which I should have done in the first place beforehand, so this was kind of the cherry on the cake. I know it was extremely hard for him as he has only seen her as the loving, gentle, hard-working single mom that she was for majority of his life. I do hope she realizes her mistakes and tries to go to therapy herself to get the help she needs, as I do not wish any ill upon her regardless of what she has done and how she has treated me. To answer a question I saw in the comments, someone had asked how he has a sister if it was just him and his mom. My apologies for that. I think I replied to the comment. His mom is dating the father of his childhood best friend and they are planning on getting married as well. Even before then he has always called her his sister and her calling him her brother, so I am just super used to calling her that, so sorry for any confusion. Anyways, thank you again to everyone. My fiancé also gives his thanks and appreciation to everyone in the comments, and I thank you all for being so kind and patient as well as following along with us through this crazy situation. This is a repost sub IAM, not the OOP. Wow, I am really curious to what happened at that cafe. Can't wait for the wedding update when Mill inevitably shows up uninvited wearing a wedding dress. The word is "sanspan," as in seeing your son as a replacement husband, and it's psychologically disturbed to no end. How you gonna post an update and leave out the juiciest details? We met up with Mill. It was a mistake. Okay, and? She had a boyfriend and was still that obsessed? Yikes. Edit. I wonder if the BFF sister had anything to do with the hate? Please bear with me, this is going to be a long one. Well, really. Clutch my pearls. Oop. We've only just met. S. Why do people put up with these sorts of things? My partner is my best friend. I tell him everything. The second I received the first nasty text, I would have forwarded to him immediately and been like, WTF? Deal with this crazy woman. Isn't that everyone's first logical step? Weird that you would harbor this abuse from the person you're going to marry. Op will be back. Op will be telling her woes of attempting to enforce no contact in JNMIL, including tales of getting CPS called on them for their kids or being sued for grandparents' rights. I foresee a restraining order in their future. Silly children. This is not over. People like Mill don't quietly disappear. Just imagine how she'll behave as the wedding gets closer or when Oop gets pregnant. Some friends of mine are in a similar situation, except it's the woman's mom, and she never stands up for her husband. I've known the mom a long time, so I talk to her when it's just us sometimes, and she never misses a chance to tell me how much she hates her Sil. She called me when her first grandchild was born and started ranting about how the child's father wanted to be in the room and hold the baby and how much she hates him. During a voicemail about the birth of her first grandchild. What's even worse is that as people age they need to be taken care of more and more. It was one thing when she hated him from afar, but eventually he started having to help take care of her as she lived with them while recovering from illnesses, surgeries over the years. Having someone living in your house that you have to take care of, when they openly hate you and disrespect you in front of your kids, no thanks. I'm always a little surprised that he hasn't bailed yet. I don't buy it. The text from the mother. I would have been this nasty from the start. I don't believe someone would say that. It's too much sunshine and roses for Oop. Too neat, too sweet. And then there's this. Someone had asked how he has a sister if it was just him and his mom. My apologies for that. I think I replied to the comment. His mom is dating the father of his childhood best friend and they are planning on getting married. As well. Seems like a cover for poor storytelling. To all the ladies who have sons. Your son is not a replacement for your husband. Just because your husband is no longer with you doesn't mean you have to make your son suffer. People like Mill are like vultures. They will use every opportunity to disturb the relationship. Someone had asked how he has a sister if it was just him and his mom. My apologies for that. I think I replied to the comment. His mom is dating the father of his childhood best friend and they are planning on getting married. As well. I pity the poor guy. How do you have so much evidence to support yourself and you just break up with a man instead and when asked why just shrug and go, IDK no reason. That mom's fiancé needs to be warned about the type of devil he's about to marry. Anyone catch on that Mill is engaged to get married herself? What kind of weak man would marry her? Or rather, who then hell would marry her if the truth of her conduct got out? I say this all the time. Family can be, should be, is a deal breaker. There is nothing wrong with breaking up with a person because their family is horrible. If you don't want that nonsense in your life for the rest of your life, walk away. But maybe I need to start explicitly adding, after you've had full disclosure with your so and they still don't want to drop the person. Why in God's name break up with your fiancé instead of telling him what an awful person his mom is? So that you don't get between them. Fuck that. I would have told him from the first small incident. This is going to end terribly. I don't think Op planned it. But this kind of read like what someone determined to rid themselves of a toxic Mill would plan. Plus he brushes off the toxic, little, things his mother does daily. So I spent months building up a dossier of evidence. Plus he apologizes and promises to make things better when I say this is a deal breaker. So I just up and left without any discussion, proving that I wasn't bluffing and he would lose me if his mom didn't go. Just know Mill would bow down in praise for her. And rightly so. Run girl run, 'cause he will absolutely falter when there are kids involved.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epic Eracast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.